Namaste, viewers. Welcome to Jaipur Dialogue USA and Jaipur Dialogue. Today, we are going to talk about a very important topic, and that is the offer from United States for India to become a NATO plus membership. Let's not confuse that. It's not NATO membership, it's NATO plus status. That's very critical to understand because otherwise there will be confusions. A lot of people have misunderstood that it is a NATO membership offer, but it's not. It's NATO plus. But before we go into that, I wanted to request you to like, subscribe, and support our channels, both Jaipur Dialogue and Jaipur Dialogue USA. And we sincerely appreciate the recent spurt in subscribing to our channel. Thank you very much. And I request again, please do so if you haven't done already. Having said that, it is a very interesting cat and mouse game going on. United States, the impending visit of Prime Minister Modi for a state reception by the US government has been very well heralded in the history of the country. This is because a state address and a state reception is given to select few, not everybody. So why is this happening? And that is what is important for us to determine, that why India is being offered a NATO plus membership. Let's remember one more thing very important here, that External Affairs Minister Mr. Jaishankar has already said that NATO membership doesn't help India, doesn't suit India. And that is the important critical element for us to understand. Let's bear in mind, NATO is the only institution in the world which is a political military alliance, more on the military side than on the political side, which is more than obvious. Turkey is the only non-white nation. Remember that, very important. Turkey is the only non-white member of the country, of this organization, which is a military pact. You attack me, you attack everybody else. So it is a military alliance. This is the only military alliance that exists post-World War scenario, post-Second World War scenario. And what is the importance of that? It was essentially designed to counter the Russian influence in Eastern Europe. The organization of Central Treaty Organization, which was a counter to NATO, doesn't exist anymore. Russia has been marginalized to a great extent, and NATO keeps expanding its territory. So it is virtually an institution designed to protect Europe against what? A Russian threat. India and Russia have had a very mature relationship for many years. So this is a strategy which has been laid out to somehow wean India away from its historical powerful relationship with Russia and USSR once upon a time that the Western nations want to break. Very important to understand that. Historically, Russia has always stood by India. Even during the sanction on Russia post-Ukraine, during the Ukraine thing, India adopted a very mature stand, and that the Ukrainian conflict is a European issue. It's not a global issue, and India had nothing to do with that. So this is the important part from here, weaning away India from a Russian relationship. What is the impact of that? If India does choose to become a NATO plus ally, which means that it will have access to a lot of technology in defense-related items that are not available to non-NATO countries. But India has become a huge market. India has become a huge market, not only for civilian items, but military pact as well. The world recognizes that if there is one country in Asia that can potentially stand up to China, which India has done very successfully in the last few years, and you know about that West is trying to cultivate India as a counter to China, regardless of whatever the political statements may have been about that. But India is on a very strong footing to stand up to China. And that's what is driving this long-term play, that somehow wean India away. What must India do? India is already a part of Quad, multiple associations, multilateral institutions. Quad is not a military pact as yet. The point is, will India be subjected to conditions of NATO plus, that if something happens in Taiwan, will India have to take part in the military exercise against China? That's very important for all of us to bear in mind, that somehow or the other, India has become so important that the Western countries are playing a long game. Important thing again is for India to bear its own interest in mind. All said and done, India needs to have us United Nations Security Council membership. India needs to enter the Nuclear Suppliers Group, NSG, which China has been opposing. So there are many plays going on here, and I think Jaishankarji is totally right to say that India doesn't suit in the NATO plus agreement. And I think he has already declared that. Whether the Prime Minister will overturn that is a question is open, but we will have to evaluate and await the final decision in this regard after Prime Minister has visited United States for the state visit, and what will be the outcome of that. The other part which bothers me, and that's my opinion, is that NATO is the only military alliance in the world. No other country, no other political setup, no other organization exists as a military alliance. And this is a European issue. America is the bulwark to protect Europe, Western Europe, from Russian influence. And that tit for tat, or that tug of war, is going on relentlessly. That is very important for us to bear in mind, that from the Indian point of view, will it suit India to become NATO plus? Remember one thing is very important. India has been trying to become Atmanirbhar in every sense of the term. Just to gain the advantage of technology cooperation in defense matters, we must bear in mind that China and Russia, they developed their own technologies without Russia, without being part of NATO plus. Is this the moment for India to develop its own capabilities, regardless of what the world alliances are all about? India has entered into many defense pacts. India has been the biggest buyer of military hardware to contest China and the incalcitrant neighbor like Pakistan. From my point of view, what India must do with the United States to somewhere along the line play the game, the strategy to wean away United States from Pakistani influence. That's very important. All said and done, Pakistan somewhere along the line remains a Nasur banke chupta rehta hai India ke side mein. And every time, even that country which is bankrupt in more ways than one, keeps equating itself in India affairs. So for India to extract concessions from United States is critical. Redefining its own relationship, its own equations on military and economic cooperation, how to wean it away from Pakistan argument. India is not Pakistan, and India will never be Pakistan. India is a country, is the fifth largest economy in the world, the most vibrant democracy in the world. So from that point of view, it is critical for India to stand alone, stand on its own, if not alone, and assert its own position, its own needs and own requirements. And I would say that the commitment of United States to support, come hell or high water, India's membership of Security Council and the Nuclear Suppliers Group is critical. The other part, which is very important, that if the United States wants to have India as a big market for its defense supplies and defense manufacturing, or updating the India's capabilities, then India must also demand that US must stop the State Department hanky-panky that goes on, or chiding India on human rights violations, which there are absolutely negligible, no proof of that. India is a very proud country where all kinds of minorities are living a successful life. So to continuously attack India for one reason or the other, one report or the other, defeats the purpose. So the State Department and the Pentagon will have to have a common strategy with India. You want India to be your defense partner. You want India to develop its defense capabilities. You want to share your defense technologies with India for more than obvious reasons. Then it's time for the United States to make sure that India doesn't get discriminated against varieties of factors, all kind of institutional reporting that India is deficient here, deficient there. Hey, we are a growing country. We are trying to become different than what it was in the last 60 years. Ever since 2014, India has embarked on a remarkable individualistic approach and its own Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam philosophy that there is oneness in the world around us. Conflict is not a resolution to problems. Debate, dialogue, discussion is the way forward, is the message that India is trying to convey to the rest of the world. So in my humble opinion, I think India must not concede or subscribe to the NATO Plus membership, but insist on its own requirements of Security Council membership, nuclear suppliers group, and a parity for its role in the world towards peace and harmony. That's it for the day. As I always say, Satyameva Jayate. But before I end, I want to request all of you to please subscribe to our channel. Please subscribe to our channel, support us, and spread the word, because we are the ones who bring out unusual stories and different points of view. Thank you very much for joining us today. See you again shortly.